One of the things that you and I wondered, Austin, after spring was, would we have a true quarterback race? Would we have a battle? Would we have something of interest? Would Kyle be making a predictions video like I used to do? I had a suspicion that it would never get to that point, and here we sit today because we can confirm off of the Auburn football social media accounts, QB1 is Jackson Arnold. Once again, Austin, it still fascinates me the amount of people that were questioning this. We're still giving me the question, who do you think will be, should be the quarterback? Well, my answer always is whoever the coach thinks, because hey, he's got all the information and he's trying to win his, win and keep his job. And then B, I mean, he's literally said it almost verbatim that he's the starting quarterback without using the word starter. But no more questions, Austin. Jackson Arnold's the guy, so all pressure falls on him. And what do you think? You think he's ready?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, like we said last week too, the sign of him going to SEC Media Day should have been probably enough for the vast majority of people.
Some people it's not.
Some people it's not, and people, there was a video out this week of Deuce Knight throwing some pretty balls out there, and some good passes, and that just stirred him up even more. So maybe that was in response to it from the Auburn football social media accounts that QB1 is golly, Joshua Arnold. Who's that? Jackson Arnold. That's his alter
brother?
ego. That's right. It's his evil alter ego. And so, no, I think that this makes sense. I think we all saw this coming, and the writing was on the wall when Jackson Arnold was brought in. Even though a couple of days later they brought Ashton Daniels in from Stanford, and even though Deuce Knight was signed, I think when you bring in a guy like Jackson Arnold, who has had SEC playing experience, has a very familiarity with an offense like Hugh Freeze runs, and all the accolades coming out of high school and all the talent in the world that's just untapped. It makes a lot of sense. So the questions are put to rest from that standpoint. And now we know without a shadow of doubt who's running out there in McLean Stadium in just a little over a month. And we'll have to see how he does. But I certainly think he's ready. I think Hugh Freeze has a lot of confidence in him. We talked about that last week, whether that's public or private. I think he's got a lot of confidence in him and what he can do for this Auburn offense. So we'll see.
So let me ask you this from the other side of this. We sit here with no quarterback controversy, which I think for a large enough contingency of fans from what I've had in terms of conversations and things like that, there's a lot of people that were wanting Deuce Knight to be the starting quarterback. And I hear you on that. I think a lot of you don't do your research before you form those opinions, and you're going off of what some website told you about stars and rankings and things. And please hear me when I say that. That's not me doubting in any way that Deuce Knight isn't the quarterback of the future and that he might even have an opportunity this year. But I guess, Austin, what would you be advising, if you could, the Auburn fans that find themselves maybe, if not publicly, privately, slightly disappointed that Deuce Knight isn't the quarterback? Like, what would you say to them? What are your thoughts on Deuce Knight and his future? I think because now it becomes, I see this question a lot. Do you think he's going to leave? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Why are you so worried about it? So, I mean, what are your thoughts on Deuce Knight now that Jackson Arnold has been named? Because I think that's really the number two in most people's minds currently.
Well, and that's where I was going to go too, because I would be very cautious to say that Deuce Knight is number two. I truly think Ashton Daniels is probably your backup quarterback here because of his experience at playing at the Division I level. I know it was at Stanford, and half of that was in the Pac-12, half of it was in the Pac-2, and whatever else they're called. But that he has played more than anyone else at this level in the depth chart. And so I think that's the first thing I would say is that I'm not sure Deuce Knight is second. I think he's probably third, and that's not any shot at Deuce Knight. I think that it is very difficult for a true freshman to come in right away and win the job and win it outright. I think that, we saw that for the first time in some odd 100 years or some close to 100 years with Bo Nix. And that obviously worked out well. I'm going to just go ahead and say that it did work out well for Auburn and Bo. But I think that, it's okay to still be excited about the potential of Deuce Knight, but there is no guarantees in college football. There's, Jackson Arnold was also highly rated and came out and had a difficult year at Oklahoma. We certainly hope that he gets his fresh start at Auburn and something new with a lot more talent around him. But there is no guarantees in this sport certainly with how a player translates from high school to college. I think the bottom line is that for all the good that Peyton Thorne and Walker White and Hank Brown did for Auburn, I think that you can probably objectively say this quarterback room has raised that level a little bit. So certainly more than anything, we're excited because the floor has been raised, and Deuce Knight's part of that. But I'd be very cautious on all the hype and pump the brakes a little bit on Deuce Knight. He might get a chance this season, and if he does, then certainly he's given Auburn the best chance to win. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. But with regard to will he be here next year if he doesn't get to play? Maybe not. That's the world we live in right now, right? That changes every day. But there's other people that also probably won't be where they are if they don't get to play this year. So, it's transactional. People are coming in and out all the time, and I think Auburn's going to be just fine no matter who's leaving based on who they can bring in as well. Bottom line, I think you should be very happy with the quarterback room as a whole and excited for this year.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I would add upon this that if you're someone who finds yourself more often than you should asking the question, well, when do you think he's going to get to play, or do you think he's going to get to play this year? You're probably already setting yourself up for what I think is going to become, if it's not already, a toxic relationship with the quarterback situation in AKA Jackson Arnold. And you're kind of going to find yourself glad if he ever does struggle and looking to be one of those guys that wants to sound good around the water cooler. Is like, we got to start Deuce Knight. Like, and that might end up being the case. And if that's the case, full support, steam ahead. If that's what Hugh Freeze decides, who's trying to win every game and keep his job, let's go with it. But my advice to Auburn fans is, and actually not my advice, my request, my plea, just call. This is my challenge to you, the Auburn Family Collective. Not everybody's going to be this way. Let's do it differently this time. Let's not do what we've done to Bo Nix. Let's not do what we've done to Peyton Thorne, Robbie Ashford, TJ Finley. And you can argue with what degree those guys were successful, but all of those guys in the last couple of years have faced some adversity at times that has been a little bit unfair. And a lot of it has been pretty stupid in regard to Bo Nix too. So let's not do that again. Support all the guys. Whoever's out at the quarterback one deserves your full support, and not you wishing that your guy that you think's better should just be out there because you want to be right.